Before we begin, remember, this story is entirely fictional. Any resemblance to real people or events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised. It was just after midnight when Naomi Clark boarded the number 47 bus. The fluorescent lights inside flickered, casting long shadows across the nearly empty seats. To most people, she was just another tired passenger heading home. But for Naomi, this ride would be her last. By morning, she was gone. By the end of the week, whispers of secret lives, hidden phones, and powerful enemies began to surface. This is not just the story of a disappearance. It's the story of a woman who may have known too much. This is the last bus ride. What happened to Naomi Clark? Naomi Clark was 28 years old. She wasn't the type of person who kept a neatly organized life. By day, she was almost invisible, an ordinary woman living in a modest apartment, paying rent late more often than not. By night, she was magnetic. Naomi worked as a bartender at the Blue Ember, a downtown nightclub popular with politicians, musicians, and men who liked to spend big without asking questions. She had a reputation for being charming, but private. She poured drinks, laughed at jokes, and listened to confessions, but she never revealed much about herself. Friends described her as fun, mysterious, even secretive. She had layers, one co-worker later said. You could talk to Naomi all night and still feel like you didn't really know her. Police would later discover that Naomi owned 2 phones. One she used openly for friends and family. The other, hidden, locked, and full of cryptic messages. October 22nd, 2021. Naomi's shift ended at 11:30 p.m. She left the club wearing a black leather jacket, dark jeans, and her signature silver hoop earrings. CCTV footage shows her walking quickly toward the bus stop, constantly checking her phone. At 12:05 a.m., she boarded the number 47 bus. The driver, a man named Carl Benson, later told investigators she looked restless, even anxious. Instead of sitting near the front like most lone riders, Naomi headed straight for the back, glancing behind her as if someone might be following. Other passengers noticed her too. One woman recalled Naomi switching seats twice, moving from the back to the middle, then back again. A young man said she was whispering urgently into her phone. Another claimed a man in a black hoodie seemed to watch her from across the aisle. The CCTV footage confirms some of this. Naomi scrolling quickly through her phone. Naomi turning to look behind her. Naomi mouthing words, though the audio was never recorded. Then something strange. At 12:27 a.m., the footage flickers, distorts, and for 3 minutes goes completely dark. When it returns, Naomi is no longer visible on the bus. The account from passengers and the driver don't match. The driver insists Naomi got off at the very last stop, around 12:35 a.m. He remembers her stepping into the cold night air and walking briskly away. But the young man swears she never left. One moment she was there, scrolling on her phone, he said, "I looked down, and when I looked back up, she was gone." Another passenger recalls hearing what she thought was an argument. Hushed but tense. She believes Naomi wasn't alone during her last minutes on the bus. 3 witnesses. 3 different versions of the same ride. When Naomi didn't show up for her next shift, her co-workers weren't surprised. She had missed shifts before, usually after late nights. But after 2 days without contact, even her closest friends grew concerned. Police began digging, and what they found painted a far more complex picture of Naomi Clark. Her financial records revealed large cash deposits, far beyond what a bartender should be making. Investigators traced them to shell accounts linked to known money laundering operations in the city. Her second phone, eventually recovered from her apartment, contained messages that raised even more suspicion. One text, sent the very night she vanished, read, I saw what you did. We need to talk. Bus 47. Who was that message meant for? The more investigators uncovered, the more Naomi's life seemed like a puzzle. She had been seen in the company of powerful men, including a city council member and a local businessman under investigation for fraud. Her co-workers recalled strangers waiting for her after work, expensive cars idling at the curb. She often told different stories about her background. To some, she was a college graduate. To others, she claimed she never finished high school. It was as if Naomi had built a life out of contradictions. With her disappearance, theories spread quickly. The witness theory. Some believe Naomi saw something that night, on the bus, or before she boarded, something dangerous enough to get her silenced. The double life theory. Others suggest she was involved in criminal activity herself, perhaps as a middle link in a laundering scheme. The target theory. There are those who believe Naomi was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, crossing paths with someone who meant her harm. Each theory raised new questions. None brought Naomi back. 3 weeks after Naomi vanished, a homeless man scavenging for scrap metal stumbled across a locked storage unit in an abandoned warehouse 2 miles from the bus route. The door had been forced open. Inside, he found a chilling scene. A woman's body, carefully staged on a dirty mattress. A syringe in her arm, empty pill bottles scattered around. It looked like an overdose, but forensic analysis told another story. The woman had suffered blunt force trauma to the head before the drugs were administered. The overdose was staged. Dental records confirmed what everyone feared. The body was Naomi Clark. For investigators, the real shock came from what was found next to her body. Her hidden phone propped against the wall as if deliberately placed. On it was a final unsent draft message. I shouldn't have gotten on that bus. The phone contained dozens of cryptic texts, references to meetings, warnings, and exchanges of money. But one stood out, sent just minutes before Naomi vanished. They know. Who they were remains unknown. Naomi's death was officially ruled a homicide, but the case stalled almost immediately. Witness statements contradicted each other. CCTV footage conveniently glitched at the crucial moment, and the powerful names linked to Naomi's world quietly disappeared from reports. Her family, devastated, demanded justice. But as weeks turned into months, the story faded from headlines, buried beneath layers of speculation and unanswered questions. To this day, Naomi's killer has never been identified. Naomi Clark was not the girl next door. She was complicated, layered, maybe even dangerous in her own right. But she didn't deserve to vanish. She didn't deserve to be silenced. Her last bus ride was more than a routine trip home. It was the final step into a web of secrets that took her life. So, what really happened that night? Did Naomi cross paths with someone she shouldn't have? Was she silenced for what she knew? Or was her death the end result of a double life catching up with her? All we know is this. Naomi Clark boarded the number 47 bus, and she never came home. This is the last bus ride. What happened to Naomi Clark?